you wearing?
Pour approximately 50 milliliters of 17.4 molar acetic acid into a 250 milliliter beaker. Pour approximately 10 milliliters of concentrated acetic acid into a 25 milliliter graduated cylinder. Use a medicine dropper to fill the graduated cylinder to exactly 11.5 milliliters. Ensure the bottom of the meniscus is touching the line. Dilute the acid by pouring it into 50 milliliters of water. Make sure to dip the end of the graduated cylinder in the liquid and then brush off any remaining drops. Stir solution for 20 seconds to mix. Pour the diluted acetic acid into a 100 milliliter volumetric flask with the help of a funnel. Rinse the sides of the beaker to get any remaining acid. Swirl beaker and pour contents into volumetric flask. Rinse the funnel and fill the volumetric flask to just below the 100 milliliter line. Use the medicine dropper to fill the volumetric flask until the meniscus is just on the 100 milliliter line. Put on cap and invert the volumetric flask. Pour the contents into a 250 milliliter beaker labeled acetic acid. Pour approximately 28 milliliters of the 2.0 molar acetic acid into a 100 milliliter graduated cylinder with the help of a funnel. Add drop by drop until the bottom of the meniscus reaches the 30.75 milliliter mark. Pour 50 milliliters of 35% hydrogen peroxide into a labeled 250 milliliter beaker. Pour approximately 28 milliliters of 35% hydrogen peroxide into a 100 milliliter graduated cylinder with the help of a funnel. Add hydrogen peroxide drop by drop until the bottom of the meniscus reaches exactly 30.75 milliliters. Pour the hydrogen peroxide and acetic acid into a labeled 250 milliliter beaker. Stir to mix. After placing a 50 milliliter beaker on the scale, press the 0 button and then measure out 5.02 grams of lead shots.
In the fume hood, heat the hydrogen peroxide and acetic acid solution on a hot plate and stir continuously. Remove solution just before it reaches boiling point. Remove beaker with tongs and place on wire gauze pad. Make sure you turn off hot plate. Add in 5.02 grams of lead shots. The addition of lead shots to the acetic acid and hydrogen peroxide solution causes an exothermic reaction. Wait for the bubbling to finish before removing the beaker from the fume hood. Stir solution. Pour a thin layer of lead acetate into petri dishes. Leave petri dish overnight and observe the crystals that form. Scrape crystals out of petri dishes with a scapula. Pour crystals onto the paper towel on the scale and weigh. Using a graduated cylinder, pour 80 ml of water into a 100 milliliter beaker. Add in lead crystals and stir for a minute. Tie string around a 7 cm zinc strip. Place zinc strip in lead acetate solution and tape string to the side of the beaker. Leave solution for 3 days and observe the crystals that form below the zinc strip. We tried filtering the lead acetate solution through a funnel with filter paper, and we produced more clear and structured crystals. Pour a thin layer of clear lead acetate into 2 petri dishes. Leave overnight and observe the clear and structured crystals.
By filtering the lead acetate solution, we noticed a big difference in the formation of crystals. It was a lot more defined and had more luster as shown in these pictures and in this video.
Add a little bit of water to each petri dish and scrape off any remaining crystals with a scoopula. Pour liquid into 400 milliliter beaker. Filter the black lead acetate solution into a 1000 milliliter beaker through a funnel and filter paper. Repeat the filtration until the solution is clear. Put the lead acetate beaker into a fume hood until it can be picked up by a hazard team. Lead acetate is dangerous, so carefully and thoroughly wash hands before leaving the lab.